Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to Surfside, California. What's with all that foam on the beach? Pretty crazy here this morning. There's a little breeze, it's a little cooler, but fishing is absolutely red hot. It can't get any better, or can it? Man, I think when this water starts to warm up, remember, we're experiencing the coldest water we've had since 1985. When it starts to warm up, if it's possible, it's going to get even better. Tremendous bluefin tuna fishing at night in San Diego, and during the daytime, we are seeing a lot of big fish move in. Bluefin are growing up, and it has been spectacular. And the captains and the crews on deck up and down our Southern California coast, I take my hat off to you for your work ethic, for working with beginners. I've heard that story replayed to me so many times. I'm brand new. I went out there and the captain came down and helped me through it, and I caught my first bluefin, my first white sea bass. Really special people in this industry, no question about it. And also some tremendous white sea bass fishing. You know, I watched the guys on the Apollo out of 22nd Street Landing, and later they'll be out of Seaforth. I watched Captain Jeff Jessup. I watched Jay. I watched Grabe Obimako. I watched them toil daily fixing the boat, making it as pristine as possible, making sure everything would be great for this year. And then they made their first trip. I'll have the details on that. What a trip that was. And of course, we continue to watch for sea bass up in the Channel Islands. There's been great halibut fishing. It doesn't get any better, I'm telling you. Really great fishing going on, throwing the rockfish for some great fish tacos. You know what time it is, everybody. It's time for the morning briefing. Oh my God, delicious. All right, let's start in San Diego. Oh, let me first of all remind you to hit that like button. Share these videos if you like them. Subscribe, that makes a huge difference to us. But all of you who take these videos and share them with a friend and say, hey, check this out, man, that's what helps us to build and pushes us to astronomical levels. Over 2 million views, over 7,000 subscribers, over 210,000 hours of content consumed by you, and we deeply, deeply appreciate it. How about Kathy Needleman on the Intrepid? Wanted to start out with a great photo of Kathy doing her thing and catching an absolutely beautiful bluefin tuna there. We have to go back to the legend and talk about the phenomenal trip they had. There was a guy named Robert Tressler on that rig, and he is so grateful for the experience that he had. He said he hasn't seen nighttime fishing like that before in his life. It was absolutely magnificent. There were fish caught in the daytime and on a sundowner, but late at night, they got into an absolute ripper. And when you look at the numbers on board the Legend, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, incredible fishing. They had 48 fish in the 15 to 40 pound class, and there's not a darn thing wrong with that. But then they get 36 fish in the 70 to 180 pound range. Wow, how can it get any better than that? And Robert made the point that the crew on board the Legend came down and worked professionally with new anglers and really tuned them up on how to catch one of these great fish. And I have to take my hat off to that trip. That is long range style fishing in 1 day range of San Diego, and we are so blessed. Don't get used to this. Remember how special this truly is, because it is. And there's other boats, several guys that got in on this kind of fishing. We mentioned the Intrepid, several other guys, the Pacific Queen, many boats in on it with some good nighttime fishing again last night. Needless to say, you need about at least 3 rods to take these fish on right now. And I'm going to suggest a 25 to 30 pound rod to fly line with. You want to have fluorocarbon for sure, Opsin fluorocarbon, www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout for a free gift and a love note from Greg Brown, and about a number 2 size hook. That's daytime, that's smaller fish. And then something in that 50 to 60 range, that's going to be used to throw those 100 to 150 gram Colt snipers, Daiwa Sakanas. You roll up on some fish, get up in the bow, toss them out there, and that's been working very, very well. But you're also going to need the heavy tackle, and of course I'm talking about nothing less than 100 pound with a 2-speed reel. That's the way to go. We love Daiwa products. Man, they are affordable, and you're not going to lose your trophy fish with a really good Daiwa reel, Saltiga or something like that. So once again, at night, that's when you want to be able to fish the heavy. You just never know what you're going to catch. And at night, some of those fish were down 400 feet, even better than that. Knife jigs, something like that in the 350 to 500 gram range really will get the job done. Robert Tressler, great trip for you and all the lovely people you brought out on the Legend. I know you are not going to forget it for a long time. And as we're on the subject, and I mentioned several other boats have been in on this, there's that local fish also that's wandering around. So guys that are leaving in the morning, the Mission Belle out of Point Loma Sport Fishing, the San Diego out of Seaforth Sport Fishing, those guys, the Liberty. If I'm leaving somebody out, I apologize, but those guys are finding the bigger fish now also. On board the San Diego yesterday, they had 18 yellowtail, 2 bluefin tuna. They lost a few because they just weren't ready for this 60 to 80 pound fish for the most part. In fact, 2 tuna that they got, one was 60 and one was 80. So you've got to have some heavier tackle when you're throwing those jigs on those fish, nothing less than 60, or you're going to get wiped out. And after all, you don't want to see that happen. Great fishing going on out of San Diego. There's that spot of fish local. There's more fish down the Baja Coast. Things are looking absolutely phenomenal right now. My hat's off to the great crews down there. All right, let's get into some of the local bite. Let me just first of all say that rock fishing remains pretty darn good. Sometimes you'll encounter adverse conditions, and I've heard guys complaining about it a little bit, so sometimes it's tough. But most of the time, you're going to catch limits of fine eating bottom fish from below the border, where some friends from Tijuana went down to Victor's and fished with Blackfin Sport Fishing. It was offshore. It was a little too miserable for the guys to get any bluefin, so they had phenomenal fishing on the rockfish. The guys from TJ who came down there just absolutely killed it and had some good fishing, good rock fishing there. The San Diego local boats, the Dolphin, all of those guys that are fishing locally, they're in that deep water catching some of those nice big reds, and there's nothing wrong with that. And of course up here in this neck of the woods, same kind of a situation in Long Beach, in Marina del Rey, and in the Channel Islands, lings and big reds, so much more. Thunderbird, Jeff Marklin yesterday, they had a 30-pound forky, nice big fat yellow, but they also had limits on the beautiful, mostly reds, vermilion rockfish, beautiful fish, great to eat, fun times, and they've got plenty of squid on the Thunderbird. They're trying to get out of Davies Lock in Newport Beach, and Jeff Marklin does a great job all the time. Let me take you to the Apollo at a 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. I told you all the arduous work they've been doing all season long, getting the boat ready for you. The Apollo's ready to rock and roll, and what a way to come out of the gate for a great trip. Limits of white sea bass for a phenomenal group of people. I mean, the people on board had so much fun on this one. And in addition to that, limits of nice rockfish. How in the heck can you beat that kind of a trip? That is absolutely wonderful tripping. Now, a guy by the name of Cambis Morati, he was all bummed out because he had a trip on the American Angler and it canceled. He didn't get to go on that trip. So he said, well, shoot, maybe, yeah, I'll jump on this Apollo trip. So he goes on the Apollo and he has a phenomenal trip because of the crew, those guys that I mentioned, Jeff and Greg Obimeko down on deck J. It doesn't get any better. The boat's beautiful. And then he catches his first white sea bass ever in his life. And that is what I call absolutely wonderful fishing. So fantastic stuff going on. Those sea bass, by the way, some are dropper loop fish with 2 to 4 ounce torpedo sinkers. You're going to need heavier sinkers to fish the rockfish with. And a lot are on the sliding egg sinker, fluorocarbon, an absolute must. I'd fish 25 to 40 pound. I would make a friend with the crew. You walk on a boat like the Apollo and you just throw yourself at their mercy and say, hey, what's been working? Because those guys are out there every single day and they know exactly what's working and they want you to catch fish. So keep that in mind. What a trip on the Pride also out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. They had 16 halibut and 2 days limits of white sea bass, and they had a phenomenal trip. We broke that news to you yesterday in one of our shorts. Incidentally, during the day, if there's some big news that breaks, I will break it to you in a short. That means you'll get all the info you need in about 30 seconds. Not going to take up your whole day. So remember, the Friedman Adventures shorts are there to entertain you as well as get you informed. Yesterday I also ran an old clip from some big bluefin at night on the Freedom. That was last year, everybody. In the show description, I put that. I could have made that more clear, so I apologize if you got all excited and thought the Freedom was into that. Freedom yesterday, 4 halibut, 5 white sea bass. Tino Valentine doing his usual fine work in terms of the fishing and entertaining. Nobody funnier to fish with than Tino, and he's an exceptional fisherman. So we are seeing some really great stuff. No question about it. Halibut, sea bass, lots of rockfish. How can you beat that kind of fishing? And we've seen that similar kind of a thing. Fury down there, Dana War Sport Fishing. As I mentioned, the Thunderbird with that big forky yesterday. Good red fishing. It's really good. Up in the Channel Islands, those boys continue to pick away at the halibut, getting an occasional good flurry on the white sea bass, just like the Endeavor did here recently. But the Aloha Spirit yesterday had a nice halibut. The Endeavor had some halibut. And when I mentioned, a halibut or a white sea bass or 6 white sea bass, you can just surmise that they creamed the rockfish up there, because that place, the Channel Islands, is so great for rock fishing. It is an exceptional place to fish, and they just keep hammering out. CJ with a couple of nice halibut up there in that neck of the woods also. So things are looking fantastic, my friends. I don't know how it can get much better than it is. This cool water, man, it's an unusual year. There's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. And of course, we're watching for the albacore situation. I'm drawing some corollaries. I said we'd have an albacore update today. I'm going to try to do that, but there's a few more little things I'm trying to tie together here. So be patient with me. But we have some very interesting observations headed your way about what we think now will be a good albacore year for San Diego based boats, and maybe it'll get up here in this neck of the woods, slide out to Cortez or something like that. It would really be exceptional. All of the indicators seem to be pointing in that direction, but hang on for our report as we'll get ready to do it for you. So all winter long, I was telling you, I think this magnet that is being created is going to suck in white sea bass and yellowtail and halibut, and that is starting to play out right now. It is looking really good on those species. And that bite in San Diego, I don't know how it gets any better than that. Oh, hey, and the Royal Star, they've been doing great fishing hurricane bag for giant yellowfin tuna. And there was grunion on the beach here on Sunday night. So, I mean, Mother Nature, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's so great to get kids involved in this. And it's so great for you to spend a few moments with me on the morning briefing every morning, as thousands of you are now doing. Thank you so very much. Have a great day, my friends, and I hope to see you really, really soon.
Three, we're coming over, baby!
Whoa! That's up, boom! Yeah!